Welcome back, everybody. How have you been? How was your vacation? Oh, it was me who was on vacation. It was fine. Thank you very much for asking. I have a sunburn on my back, and let's just say I never drank so much tequila in my life. My lovely and talented co-host, Fraser Toms, is here. Fraser.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time we've done a show together.
It absolutely is the first time we've done a show.
Well, that's just insanity.
I know.
Anyways, so yeah, let's kick it off with a look at the cannabis markets. The large cap cannabis index is down 170 points. That's 1.64% today. What is driving that down? We don't know. We'll have a look and figure it out during the show. And the Midas Letter small cap index, so these are all companies trading below $500 million in market cap that are Canadian listed primarily. It's down 1.68 or 0.18%, so nothing there. The Midas Letter CSE index is down 9.53, which is 0.45%, and the let's see, the TSX Venture Index is actually up 2.31 or 0.29%. So large caps taking it on the chin, other ones trading in a sort of irresolute sideways pattern. Bah, 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 bah. Fraser, I noticed that you're drinking coffee.
Yes, well, we had a large marijuana company that was supposed to come in and canceled their meeting.
So they canceled the show and you're drinking McDonald's coffee?
I am drinking McDonald's coffee.
Is there any big LPs halted right now? Anybody's stock flying for no reason?
Yeah.
Anyways, coming up on the show today, Ricky Gerwitz, news nurse extraordinaire, is here, and she's going to read the news. Surprise, surprise. Then we're going to have Drone Delivery Canada CEO Tony Di Benedetto is here. What? Tony Di Benedetto has been at the forefront of Drone Delivery Canada since the beginning, and that's a really great story. He's going to tell us all about that. Then today, now drum roll please. Midas Letter took delivery of FluroTech's first ever complete test cannabis testing system. This system is amazing. It will tell you your fortune, when you're going to die, what you're going to get married to, who you're going to sleep with. No, it doesn't do any of that. But what it does do is measures the cannabinoids using spectroscopy. Spectroanalysis as a tool for measuring CBDs, THCs, and heavy metals in cannabinoids. And so we have sort of broken the cherry on that whole situation by taking delivery of the first test. We're going to show you a little clip of that a little bit later, but we're going to deliver to you the whole presentation of how we do what we do with that machine and all of that nonsense. Anyways, that's coming up. Jeff Mazer is going to be here from Tinley Beverage Company, and Sean Cookson is going to talk to us about vaping. But at 3:45, Trevor Fencott is here he's the CEO of Fire and Flower, or Flower Corporation.
Fire and Flower.
Fire and Flower, right. Fire Flower. Flower Fire. Fire and Flower. No, we know Trevor. Trevor will be here a little bit later. So Fraser, what happened while I was gone? Like the markets didn't go up, they didn't go down, they didn't go sideways. What's going on?
They were just waiting for you to get back and get your topical oils all done so you feel nice and comfortable to get back oils in the chair. Yeah.
Actually, I'll tell you, on Friday, I went snorkeling. No, sorry, it was Thursday in Mexico on the Mayan Reef and neglected to put on any sunscreen. And spent the next hour and a half chasing puffer fish and sea turtles around. But then that evening, the sunburn that set in was off the scale in terms of like, holy shite. I thought I was actually somewhat...
Itchy, crispy.
It was beyond itchy. Yeah. It was so burnt that I couldn't even lay down. So what happened is I ended up doing multiple doses of CBD orally, and then I had it applied to my back generously. And I think in a Swedish sort of approach. Yeah. Well, not very Swedish because remember it was burnt all the hell, so I could barely tolerate being touched. Anyways, woke up at 2 in the morning, high as fuck, because I think I did a total of like 3 or 4 milligrams of THC, which for an old fart like me is actually a lot. Anyways, just saying, if you have a sunburn, you rub THC oil on it, the sunburn feeling is gone for at least 2 hours, but then you got to do it for every 2 hours, but it worked very well. Just saying.
Good to know. And the side effect is that you're high as hell.
You get high as fuck during your sleep. Yeah. Let's see here. So what are the big movers and shakers of the day? Let's have a look at that, because that's always good for a look. On the large cap market, it looks like the big loser of the day today is weed, down 2.75% or $1.73, trading currently at the price of $61.08. Now, over the long term, that's not really that much.
Yeah, but while you were gone, actually, weed sort of did one of its little pullbacks. So, and that sort of kept everything more or less a bit stagnant. So.
And now the news.
Thanks, James. And here are the headlines moving markets today. Tilray Inc. announced the closing of a previously announced definitive agreement to acquire all of the issued and outstanding securities of Natura Natural Holdings Inc. Moving forward, the Natura facility will operate under the name High Park Gardens and serve as an additional cultivation facility to serve the medical and adult use market in Canada. As a result of the finalized acquisition, Tilray and High Park have obtained a 662,000 square foot greenhouse cultivation facility, of which 155,000 square feet are currently licensed. Namaste Technologies announced that it has reached a mutually agreed upon settlement with Sean Dollinger. The result is Mr. Dollinger entering into an advisory relationship with Namaste, providing transition support to the company to ensure the best interests of the business and stakeholders are met. Mr. Dollinger has withdrawn his previously announced legal application against the company and has agreed to step down from all formal roles with the company, including as a director. Thanks, James. And here are the headlines moving markets today. Tilray Inc. announced the closing of a previously announced definitive agreement to acquire all of the issued and outstanding securities of Natura Natural Holdings Inc. Moving forward, the Natura facility will operate under the name High Park Gardens and serve as an additional cultivation facility to serve the medical and adult use market in Canada. As a result of the finalized acquisition, Tilray and High Park have obtained a 662,000 square foot greenhouse cultivation facility, of which 155,000 square feet are currently licensed. Namaste Technologies announced that it has reached a mutually agreed upon settlement with Sean Dollinger. The result is Mr. Dollinger entering into an advisory relationship with Namaste, providing transition support to the company to ensure the best interests of the business and stakeholders are met. Mr. Dollinger has withdrawn his previously announced legal application against the company and has agreed to step down from all formal roles with the company, including as a director, which will also enable him to spend more time with his young family and pursue other opportunities. Manny Morum remains Interim Chief Executive Officer of Namaste. MJardin Group has appointed Mr. Adrian T. Montgomery as Chairman of the Board of Directors and Interim Chief Executive Officer, replacing Rishi Gautam effective immediately. Adrian Montgomery has been a senior officer and director of several public and private companies in the fields of media, sports and entertainment, finance, and industrial services. Fire and Flower Holdings Corp. has entered into an agreement with 2 of the initial 25 applicants that have been selected by the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario to apply for cannabis retail operator licenses in the East Region of Ontario. And the company began listing on the TSX Venture today under the ticker symbol FAF. CEO Trevor Fencott will be on the show later. Choom announced the completion of its e-commerce platform. This online storefront will provide a customized shopping experience that's integrated with Choom's retail stores and capable of scaling to $500 million annually. Choom has ensured the platform's flexibility to compliantly handle both B2C and B2B sales to service and sell to any type of buyer in the cannabis industry. Dixie Brands Inc. announced that its wholly owned subsidiary, Akessa Wellness LLC, is expanding its line of hemp-infused wellness products. Akessa was launching a line of dissolvable drink tablets and entering the topicals category with the new balm. The products include CBD as well as other natural ingredients to promote health and wellness. FSD Pharma Inc. announced that its wholly owned subsidiary, FB Pharma Inc., has received its standard processing license from Health Canada. And Lit Cannabis Corp. announced that it has received its second certification for both of its cultivation facilities in Las Vegas, Nevada. The certification was issued by Certified Kind, an industry equivalent program to USDA organic certification. Gabriella's Kitchen Inc. announced a joint venture with Examias Coffee LLC to launch a line of cannabis and CBD-infused coffee beverages and infused single-serve grounds suitable for steeping. Examias is the third largest coffee importer in the U.S., with products sold in retail grocery stores throughout the U.S. under a variety of brand names, including Capio. Organigram Holdings Inc. announced the release of an immersive 360-degree virtual facility experience, highlighting indoor production practices at its Moncton, New Brunswick campus. The tour, available as an immersive experience for both Android and iOS-enabled devices, takes viewers through Organigram's entire production process from propagation to packaging. Facility infrastructure, including mechanical controlling, irrigation, and the campus's 40-megawatt substation, are also highlighted. Slang Worldwide and TruLeaf Cannabis announced a strategic partnership to offer cannabis patients in Florida access to cannabis brands in TruLeaf dispensaries across the state. Pursuant to the partnership, TruLeaf has an exclusive license to Slang's extensive portfolio through its U.S. subsidiary, National Concessions Group, Inc. Weekend Unlimited announced that Northern Supply in Nisku, Alberta, has received its initial shipment from AGLC, allowing it to set a grand opening date for February 23rd. Northern Light Supply will open with approximately $200,000 worth of inventory. The company has hired 15 Northern Light Supply staff and will offer community cannabis education and training seminars for local businesses and organizations. 1933 Industries reported that it has engaged CB1 Capital Advisors LLC, the New York-based advisory firm, as strategic business advisors for a one-year term. CB1 Capital Advisors focuses on companies in the supply chain of cannabinoid-based wellness solutions, products, and therapies that have therapeutic or commercial use cases. CB1 Capital Advisors are expected to provide strategic and business development advice to the company, including analyzing investment and partnership opportunities. And that's your news for today.
Well, that's the end of the Namaste saga as it exists to this point. Sean has capitulated to spend some time with his young family.
He's pursuing other interests, other opportunities,
right,
as it were.
That don't involve handcuffs or bars.
Yes.
Or maybe bars, but no handcuffs.
Or maybe, well, just saying. I have to do it. Just saying. How about that?
Oh, yeah, we could have fun with that all day long. Yeah, that Chiron is on fire, eh?
And our lovely viewers are letting us know that too by Chiron's on fire, monster.
Yes, Chiron is on fire.
It is.
And the reason, why is Chiron trading like it is?
Maybe the message is finally getting out that there's an opportunity to make a big bag of money.
Yes. I think that, do you think that it could be that this is, in fact, the Latin American monster waiting in the wings that has yet to catch the billion-dollar valuations of the northern tribe of Canopy? Do you think maybe people are cluing into the fact that California is not the biggest market in the world? Not even close. It's 1/10 the size of the biggest market in the world, which is actually Latin America.
Yeah.
540 million people in Latin America, and I think it's safe to say, given all we've seen from all of the Latin American players, that Chiron has the lock and the lead in the country far and above anybody else. Would you say that's a fair statement?
I would say that's a fair statement. I just hear Alvaro's voice in my head going, Chiron is coming. Chiron is coming.
Chiron is coming, and Chiron might be king. Now, full disclosure, Chiron was a client back in 2018 or 17, was it? It's 2018, let's call it. And through that relationship, we earned 150,000 restricted share units. So we are not to be trusted when it comes to Chiron. We are likely to wax glowingly about it, even if the whole company were to go up in flames. We'd still be like, that's a buy.
Yeah, I guess so, but it sure does look good.
Anyway, so yeah, Chiron's on fire because they just closed a $20 million deal. They've got all the firepower they need. They've got a new shareholder, and this story is really just getting started. It's on a slow burn relative to others.
I think it might be a bit of a slow burn. Just a small factor might be, it does spark debate, right? When people talk about South America and the markets and political systems and all that, and how prices wouldn't be the same necessarily on the yes, it's cheaper to produce, but maybe you can't sell it for as much, and there's more crime. But then the flip side is there's way less players. You know, you already have people separating themselves from the pack. The population's huge, and it's you know, maybe you could say it's sort of like Canada a few years ago, or so use some kind of comparison like that.
Yeah. Well, I think the main thing to understand about Latin America as a market is it's 14 different countries, and each country, they don't even necessarily speak the same language. So to do business in Latin America, Spanish is the default in all of the countries except Brazil. Well, actually, they speak Dutch in Suriname.
Wow.
Yeah, interesting. Anyways, coming up next, the CEO of Drone Delivery Canada.
Drone Delivery Canada is a drone technology company focused on the design, development, and implementation of a drone delivery system. The company's platform will be used by government and corporations. Today, the company unveiled its largest cargo and farthest range delivery drone, the Condor. With a payload capacity of 180 kilograms and a potential travel distance of up to 200 kilometers, the Condor pushes the limits in both cargo capacity and distances. The cargo is powered by a next-generation gas propulsion engine. Drone Delivery Canada is a publicly traded company listed on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol FLT.
And joining me now is Tony Di Benedetto. Blah, blah, blah. Why am I having trouble with that? He's the CEO and founder of Drone Delivery Canada. Tony, welcome back. This is not our first rodeo, is it?
No, it's not. Thanks for having me, James.
Of course, it's my pleasure. Now, big news today, or currently for Drone Delivery Canada, Tony, is the fact that you guys have launched this Condor cargo capacity drone now.
Correct.
What is that going to do?
It's a game changer for us. You know, for us, the success we've had is this crawl, walk, run approach, working with the federal regulator. We started with 10 pounds, went to 25-pound cargo capacities, 50 pounds, and now we're at 400 pounds. So this is a game changer. It moves us away from little small parcels to more of a cargo operations capability, which is groundbreaking for us.
Interesting. So now, what kind of clients are going to use this service?
So we're starting commercially this year with remote communities. In Canada, we have about 1,000 remote communities. Our goal is to penetrate 20%. 200 communities, 20% in the next 5 years. We have an agreement today with the Moose Cree First Nations. It's about $2.5 million a year. And we're starting commercially with our Sparrow drone, which is our 10-pound cargo capacity unit. And then eventually, once we get through the testing and the regulatory requirements, is to bring in the larger capacity drones to these areas.
And sorry, what was the capacity of it? Payload? 400
pounds.
400 pounds, so you could basically deliver a small tractor with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, a really small one.
Yeah, so it's 400 pounds and can travel 200 kilometers, and it's gas powered.
Wow. So interestingly, the reason that remote communities want to use this is because it's more expensive for them to import goods and services from population centers using traditional aircraft.
In Canada's northern communities, the big problem is logistics. There are no roads, there are no bridges, there is no gravel, there is no asphalt. It's very desolate. It's very, very expensive to move goods into these communities. And even though once they even show up, is how do you distribute the goods? So we look at our solution as an infrastructure solution. Our business is not really about trying to move a pizza to someone's front door 2 minutes faster in an urban area. Maybe at one point in time it'll get there, but really the way we see our business starting is an infrastructure platform for Northern Canada as a starting ground. And then take this technology and export it all around the world where there's many places that have the same problem.
Sure. So places, remote areas that have logistics issues typically are not serviced by the likes of FedEx and Amazon, et cetera, because it's not profitable for them to service those areas using traditional logistics solutions like trucks and planes. This makes it much more cheaper.
100%. So in these communities, they rely on aircraft hauling in goods or helicopter slung loads. We've seen snowmobiles, ATVs, snowshoes. That's how goods move around in these communities. And because of this, because there's lack of efficiencies, the costs for these fellow Canadians to live is very, very high. Right. So this technology brings the cost down, it's just in time, and it's very flexible and scalable.
And so in some cases, I imagine that in the case of, let's say, for example, medicines, critical medicines for people who are ill, this can actually be a life-saving differentiator for remote communities where getting a certain drug within a certain time frame means the difference between life and death.
100%. So last summer we did a variety of beyond visual line of sight flight tests with Transport Canada in this community, and along with it came Health Canada, and we moved, I believe, about 400 dry blood spot samples within the community. So that's a game changer even for the health agency, trying to move that much blood in such a short amount of time for literally pennies on the dollar.
Now, you said the existing relationship you have with the Moose Cree Indian Band, I think you said?
Moose Cree First Nations.
Moose Cree First Nations. So that's a $2.5 million a year proposition.
Correct.
And you're going after 200 more communities within the next 5 years. That's a big number if the average cost or the average revenue from each of those is going to be $2.5 million a year.
It's $500 million a year.
Wow.
And because we're a software company, it's a software as a services platform, we've built the intelligence to make this happen. We operate at a high EBITDA margin. We're looking at about 60% EBITDA. And it's a very profitable business once it scales.
Right. So in the early days of drone delivery, you had Staples, kicking the tires. There was the Canada Post. Are those things still part of the mix as well?
We're working with about 50 different groups.
Wow.
Government agencies, remote communities, logistics companies, cargo operators, retailers, health service providers. Everybody's trying to understand how autonomous systems or vehicles fold into their mix of their future operations, and this is the starting point for us, is the northern parts of Canada, and then eventually rolling it out to different sectors. So there's a lot of opportunities that we're working on right now.
Sure. For example, I mean, the craze right now is all cannabis. In remote communities, if they're part of this program, will they be able to receive delivery of cannabis products from your company?
Logistically and technically, we are 100% capable of doing this. A couple of cannabis companies have reached out to us, and there are certain requirements under the Health Canada Act for security, so that's what we're investigating right now. But capability-wise, we could do it today.
So the company's grown in market cap from startup to, what's it at today?
Just shy of about 300 million.
300 million. So it's just been an incredible growth story.
Yeah, and we're just getting to the starting line now. So we've proven out the technology. We believe we've de-risked the technology now. It's now complete, and now it's a matter of changing gears and moving into commercial operations.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah. Well, it's an incredible story, and I followed you guys with interest. I mean, it's not a stock that I've owned, but only because it's just been on fire, and every time I turn around, it's like I refuse to chase a stock, many times to my regret, but that's just an incredible story. So we're going to continue to follow the story. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, when we come back, the CEO of Drone Delivery Canada will be leaving. No, just kidding. That's what it says on the... Okay, FluroTech was here a little earlier today, and we had a demonstration and a training session on their new technology, which is called the Complete Test, that tests for cannabinoids and heavy metals in dried cannabis flower.
So this is FluroTech's flagship branded product, the Complete Test. It's a device that can be used by licensed producers, cultivators, extractors, dispensaries, or anybody in the industry interested in measuring cannabinoids or heavy metals.
So we have our sample here, and we add our extraction solution. And now we wait to find out the results.
I'm joined now by Rex Carey. He's the Chief Operating Officer of FluroTech Ltd, trading on the TSX Venture under the symbol TEST. Rex, welcome back.
Thank you for having me back, James.
Rex, you've made some great advances with the Complete Test device that your company has been developing. In fact, I understand I've got the first one available in Canada.
It is the first one, and happy to bring it out and deliver it to you. It was fun going through the test with you.
It sure was. It sure was. Now, this device is geared towards LPs who want to measure cannabinoids and test for heavy metals in their product. Is that right?
That's right. It's designed so it's an in-process test. So they can be testing through the growth cycle and find that sweet spot for harvesting. It'll allow early detection of heavy metals to ensure that they don't lose a room or a batch for the entire growth cycle. They can take a room out if it is contaminated.
Right. And so is this testing designed to replace some existing process?
The testing is designed to bring a new way of cultivation to the producers. Many producers right now, if they do want to test, they'll send their samples out to a large lab. It takes 3 days to 3 weeks to get the results back. Often about 10 days seems to be the norm. This allows them to get the results within 30 minutes.
Wow.
So they can put some precision to the way that they are cultivating and find a better way than guesswork.
So this is a device that any registered or licensed producer of cannabis would probably want to own.
We think so. As a matter of fact, we think a number of the producers will want to own several.
Right.
When we've been out doing our market research, we've had betas out. Many of them said, we want this in our facility and have several so they can be testing on the go at several different rooms.
Sure. So do you have an idea on how big the market is for this device globally?
Globally, the numbers get a little bit silly, actually. We've looked at the global market in cannabis in the order of $150 billion by 2025. Some forecasters have said testing is going to be 5% of that global market.
Really?
Now, that all won't be in-house,
but
we expect at least half to two-thirds will be in-house testing.
Sure. Now, currently the configuration of the device is limited to testing dried flower.
It's testing dried flower at this point. We're a consumer-driven company. All of our business development people work with the scientists side by side with them, work with the software developers, but they're out talking to our customers. And the customers keep saying, we want to have a certain product. That's the one that comes to the top of our list.
Sure.
Work in constant creation of additional tests. So one that we expect to be coming out in relatively short order will be THC and CBD for extract.
Okay, so at some point could this be used, for example, to test a gummy bear?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. So is there a limit to what this could test in terms of cannabinoid products currently available anywhere in the world?
Is there a limit? You mean?
Yeah. Is there anything it can't test?
No. The technology allows us to see very small things and detect it very well. When we're detecting heavy metals, we're measuring in parts per billion.
Sure.
So we can develop a test to test virtually whatever we want. It just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of money to develop that test.
Right. And so when is this going to be available for LPs to purchase?
Now.
It's ready now.
It's now.
Okay.
We've come out into the market. We're available. If you contact FluroTech, go to our website. There's people that are available. What will occur is we'll come out, sit with the LP, train them. Our staff will make sure that it is available and their staff is trained properly from the get-go. We are a relatively new company, so when you call, you won't get a helpline if you're having a problem. You'll get the customer representative who will be right beside the software developer, who'll be right beside the scientist, and they can walk you through any problem that you may occur.
Well, that's great. How difficult is the process?
It's not difficult. It's a very easy process to learn. It takes a little bit of practice. It is a scientific instrument, so we do suggest that the training take place and just care and attention. It is a quantitative test, so if there is a little mistake, it will result in an inaccurate reading.
Right.
But what we do recommend is just watch the test, and if it seems odd, run a second one.
Right. Okay, so this sounds like something that's going to be pretty broad use in short order here, because it sounds like something that we really shouldn't be smoking cannabis without.
Well, absolutely. And what it allows the producer to do is to be checking on the fly. And to making sure that everything is good. As we develop additional tests, we see many different applications for this. We see consumers actually through dispensaries checking to make sure the product is good.
Okay, how much is this device own for an LP?
So right now, it comes in a couple of components. The base device is $18,000. And then we have a scope that goes into the device and allows you to measure THC and CBD. That's $6,000. And then we make it easy. So everything you need to be able to test, we have in a package. We call it the Starter Lab Kit. That's $1,000. And so all you have to do is show up with your cannabis and everything else is there.
Okay.
$25,000 gets you in to be able to test THC, CBD. And then if you want to test heavy metals, it's another $6,000 for that scope.
So FluroTech's business is the construction and sale of these machines.
FluroTech's business is the research and development of tests. We do assemble the machines and we market them as well.
What kind of margin does the company get off of these machines?
We're well over 200%.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. How much money's gone into the development of the machine since the beginning?
Since the beginning, when the company was first formed, there was about $3 million that was expended prior to the company doing a capital raise. Then there was a friends and family round, as well as a offering memorandum. Those two together put $11 million into the company. So over the years, there's been about $14 million. Now we have $5 million in the bank right now. So I'll say $9 million to
Sure.
get us
How many
developed.
shares out in the company?
50 million shares.
50 million. Well, that's pretty tight. That's interesting. So how much more money do you have to raise before you get to profitability?
To get to profitability, we will be profitable this year.
So you don't need to raise any more right now?
No, we will be raising some more money.
Okay.
And the reason that we'll be raising the money is we do have money in the bank, and we will be marketing our product this month. But to accelerate the growth and to go into other legal jurisdictions, we will be raising capital to do that.
Okay.
The other part, and if I may expand, really within FluroTech, where we've talked about testing the plant, but there's also, we have a device that will test the individual, and it tests saliva for different drugs. And then we have a third product, which is putting a biomarker on the plant. So what we do is we put a unique signature for a grower so they can track their product from seed to sale. As we develop all of these, we both will be looking for strategic partners and raising some capital to accelerate the growth.
Well, that's fantastic. All right, let's leave it there for now, Rex. We'll come back in due course, and we'll be using your machine on a weekly basis to test cannabis from the Ontario Cannabis Store. Thanks for joining me again.
Thank you.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing to our YouTube channel and clicking on the little notifications bell. If you're interested in getting monthly actionable investment ideas in the cannabis space to your inbox, subscribe to the newsletter at MidasLetter.com. That FluroTech thing is just incredible, eh?
It is cool. I like how so they busted out all the gear, first model ordered or whatever. But it's the thing that stuck out to me right away is it's very scientific looking. Like it looks like it belongs in a lab.
Yeah.
Especially well, of course it does belong in a lab, but
This is a lab now.
yeah, no, it was and there's multiple parts to it. It all looks very professional, very easy to use.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
Yeah, and it actually worked,
Yeah.
which is always funny.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the kind of thing that, yeah, they could put it all over the place. You don't necessarily have to be a lab technician to understand how to use it.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's interesting, he told me during the interview that they're going to sell 70 machines, or I think that might have been after the interview. They're planning to sell 70 machines in 2019. 70 machines, average cost, call it $20,000, and they have a 200% margin. So doesn't that imply that, divide that by 3, that's, call it just under $700. So $1,400 times 70 machines is the upside gross margin wise. Quick to the calculator, Batman.
I know.
70 times $1,400 is going to give them
98,000. What?
Wow. What? $98,000. Huh, I guess that's not a big number. No, it's 14,000, not 1,400.
Yeah, that's right. So add a zero, 980,000.
So basically, yeah, so $1 million bucks in gross margin. Okay, well that's a good start.
Yeah, and then I mean they're going to have opportunity if they choose to sort of spread their wings.
Well, with that biomarker, I can't see any cannabis producer on the license side who isn't going to want to mark their plants biologically so that right to the end product they can be guaranteed is from them. Because as we saw in our own shop, the people who are selling cannabis at the street level have now started to mimic the packaging of the Ontario Cannabis Store.
Which is hilarious because it's the shittiest packaging ever.
I know.
Like, it's the war. Like, it's so bad.
Yeah, it looks like it's a...
Can you imagine if it becomes cool? Like, if that type of packaging becomes something that's like...
I can't see that ever happening because the design aesthetic involved, like the colors they clash. There's nothing to it. The geometry of it, the colors of it, the style of it, the lack of style.
You can never guess. Like I was talking to someone, the brand Champion?
I haven't heard of it.
So it's just like you can buy hoodies and stuff, and it's sportswear.
Okay.
But it used to be the kind of thing you'd see in
Champion.
Yeah, it used to be something you'd see in like a Zellers or something. But now it's like the expensive thing. So, and it's, anyone who knew it back in the day would be like, but now it's cool. So you just can't like...
Right. Well, that's an interesting case. Champion always had that cool logo that sort of was reminiscent of the French flag.
Yeah, I guess.
In a vague sort of way. Which is coincidentally red, white, and blue, and Americans, who hate everything these days, have their flag as red, white, and blue. Coincidence? I don't think so. Anyways, so
Chiron chart?
FluroTech's going to raise a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And did we pull up their chart yet?
I don't know. It's here for those.
Let's take a look.
There's a 3-monther.
What's a 3-month look? Okay, so it's making headway. Wow, you could have bought it for 34 cents back in December.
Are they selling in the States at all?
He's got 70 machines for available in this first production run that are all going to be sold into Western Canada because that's where they're based.
Yeah.
So
that's $1 million for just Western Canada.
Just Western Canada.
Then you got the rest of Canada potentially if you can legally get your head in the States, and then Europe and South America.
And they actually sell the whole package for $31,000. So if the margin he said is 200% on a $31,000 sale, then that's actually upwards of $20,000 per sale gross margin. And so 70, 140, $1.4 million for Western Canada. And then so imagine if they get up to 2,000 machines per year, that's going to be a big number. So interesting, FluroTech, by way of full disclosure, I don't own it yet, but I am negotiating ways to become more intimately involved with the company, including providing some consulting services on media production and the like. So probably we're not to be trusted on that file as well.
$25 million market cap, is that right?
What? Yeah, they've got 50 million shares out. Yeah, $25 million market cap. Cheap. Cheap no matter how you slice it. All right, now, what else we got coming up? So we've got Trevor Fencott's going to be here in just a minute, and his company, Fire and Flower, just traded today. Let's see how they did in their first day of trading. I think the symbol is... Oh, we don't know what the symbol is. Let's look that up. What's the symbol for Fire and Flower? SAS? SAS.
FAF.
FA. Frank Arnold Frank. FAF.
Fire and Flowers Holding Corp on the TSX Venture.
Right.
And I've got you can't do a 3-month because hasn't been around that long.
Started trading. All right, so $1.30.
5 days.
5 days, but it just started trading today.
Okay.
So you want to do
probably
a winner?
A winner?
Do the intraday. Okay, so it traded closed down a bit lower from where it opened, but that's a respectable first day nonetheless. So let's see, what else is going on this week? We've got a whole bunch of interesting guests coming. I can't remember any of them right now because it's my first day back and I'm out to lunch.
Yeah.
The new CEO, the new CFO of CanTrust is going to be here, and his name is... We don't know.
What? What?
Well, let me rephrase that. CanTrust has a new CFO, and tomorrow we're going to release his name.
Yeah, well, maybe...
Greg Guyot is his name.
Did we mention that, I know some of our audiences, but the stock today is doing quite well.
Really?
And
Show me a chart. Show me a chart.
TRST on the big pants board. TRST.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and they were listing on the NY. I don't know if that happened yet. I don't think so. So right now they're at 11.49.
Wow.
Which is good considering they're running up from $6.10 on the 20th of December.
Jesus Christo, that's a good run.
Yeah.
So did you see the story in Barron's suggesting that U.S. cannabis stocks were severely overvalued and that were not investment quality?
Overvalued.
Overvalued.
I don't know who that Barron guy is, but maybe you should shut up. No, I don't know. I mean, like, there's many ways you could look at it.
Barron's, the Dow Jones publication, Barron's.
The Dow Jones.
Dow Jones. Anyways, coming up next is the CEO of Fire and Flower, which listed on the TSX Venture today under the symbol Frank Adam Frankula.
Fire and Flower is a cannabis retail franchise with provincial licenses to operate 7 cannabis retail stores in Alberta, 2 cannabis retail stores in Saskatchewan, as well as a wholesale cannabis supply business. The company is currently pursuing additional licenses to operate stores in British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario. Fire and Flower stores recently surpassed $10 million in sales since legalization. The company had 5 locations open on October 17th and has since doubled its retail footprint. Fire and Flower began trading on the TSX Venture today under the ticker symbol FAF.
Joining me now is the CEO of Fire and Flower Holdings Corp, Trevor Fencott joins me. How are you, Trevor?
I'm well, thanks.
Excellent. First day of trading, over 3 million shares traded. That's not too shabby.
That's a lot of shares, yep.
Yeah, great. So tell me, what is the Fire and Flower story?
So the Fire and Flower story is we are the leading independent retailer of cannabis in Canada. And what I mean by that is on the one side, our competitors are vertically integrated licensed producers who produce a product they're actually selling at retail. And the other side, we have what I call revectoring businesses. So retailers or other businesses with a legacy business that are coming into cannabis as kind of their growth story. But Fire and Flower was designed from the ground up to just do cannabis retail in Canada. So we've acquired a tech company in the summer because we believe that we need to be like data focused. So for us, having a digital platform that was developed from ground up is very, very important, and we think that's paying dividends in our stores.
Right. How many stores do you have?
We have 9, 7 actively selling in Alberta and 2 in Saskatchewan.
Oh, that's fantastic. Any plans to expand to Ontario?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we actually just did press release this morning that 2 of our agreements with lottery winners in Ontario have been posted for public notice. So we are going to, in fact, have Fire and Flower branded stores with lottery winners in Ottawa and Kingston.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, we're very excited.
So is it the case that the winners of the Ontario lottery, the 25 licenses, is it your experience so far that most of them are going to have to partner with an existing LP to actually make it through the short window that they've got to get into business without being hit with penalties?
I think that it is realistic that people are going to need help, whether that's from someone in the cannabis industry or a normal retail industry or the real estate industry. I think it's that's sort of up for discussion. But I think they are going to need help because most of the people, could open a store, but to open it on the April 1st deadline, I think is going to be tough. But also, it's not just opening a store; it's running a regulated retail business. So it's not just a variety store or a Gap or something like that. This is a regulated endeavor, which is going to be a challenge.
Yeah. Even Starbucks, when it identifies a new location, takes 6 months to get it ready. So
that's right.
I always thought, what was the thinking behind that genius? Anyway, so that's good to see, though. So they're going to salvage the situation by letting companies partner with the LPs. That's a relief. Is there a limit to how many stores you can have in Canada?
Well, in Canada, it's done by province by province. So in Alberta, where we started, there's a limit of 15% of the available licenses. So there's a cap there per corporation. And then in Ontario, ultimately, I believe the limit will be 75 per entity, and licensed producers are not able to retail in the province.
Okay. Don't licensed producers get one store location at their point of manufacture?
I believe,
That's it?
Yeah.
Huh. Very interesting. So how has sales been going?
Sales have been going very, very well. I mean, I think we've published some data, which is the first 90 days of sales in Alberta and Saskatchewan. We're $10 million in revenue from 9 stores.
Wow!
So that was quite
in 90 days.
In the first 90 days, yeah.
And what is the gross margin?
The gross margin, we're aiming for 50. I think it's coming in at about 40%, but we haven't even got our higher margin items like the apparel line that we have, as well as other things like accessories. And ultimately, we believe our data platform will be very high margin for us.
You bet. Any plans to move into the United States at all?
Well, I think for us to move in and own stores, we would want to be, of course, sure that it's completely legal at all 3 levels of government. For us, we will take the model we've seen in Ontario, where we are in fact licensing our intellectual property and performing consulting services for an owner that is not Fire and Flower. So the lottery winner is in fact the licensed owner. I think that allows us to kind of start to look at the U.S. In a more careful way and ahead of our plan. But plans on operating on the ground, I think we're TSXV listed, so we want to be compliant with them at all times.
And I'm curious about the some of the metrics around retail consumers. What is the break between the consumers looking for extremely high THC product versus those looking for something less than wheelchair weed?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. In the beginning, we certainly saw a fixation on high THC, and that was what we saw go out of the door very, very quickly, day 1 and perhaps week 2. But now we're seeing, I think, a little bit more of a gradual approach where people have actually come back for multiple purchases at this point. And I think the excitement over let's just get the maximum THC possible has now moved into something more reasonable, which is, look, I'm going to consume this. I actually want this to be an enjoyable experience and not just the maximum THC.
Right.
And that's part of our educational premise as well, which is, for example, when someone comes in who's a little bit older and says, well, I want to, I tried this in the 70s when I was in high school, and I'm ready to come back to it. I'd like to experiment with this. Our advice to them is you don't need the maximum THC. So working with our canistas, it actually turns out that for them, 5% THC would be similar to what they were experienced first time. So we kind of have to guide them on that journey.
Yeah, that's interesting. As a lifelong consumer of cannabis, certainly I remember in high school, it was all about being as high as possible all the time. And now, fast forward 40 years, it's like if I have a puff off of one moderately strong joint, that's me good for the next 2 hours, and I don't need anything more. If I do smoke any of the high tests, basically go to my room, shut the blinds, close the door, put the headphones on, whack the drums. That's all I'm good for. So that's interesting. Now, what about is there preference being seen in terms of people asking for indica over sativas at all?
Well, that's interesting because the way we try to organize our store, because we feel our job is to kind of curate this experience for them. It's a very confusing world of cannabis. And so by curating it in terms of our strain wall, where we have it all laid out, not in terms of indica and sativa, because according to Health Canada, what we're allowed to talk about are things like terpene profiles, which again, there's some debate as to whether indica or sativa is even an accurate moniker, because when you have it tested, genetically, it's like, well, that's not an indica or that's not a sativa. So we like to talk in terms of terpene profiles, And we really take a cue from our licensed producer partners, who, of course, are our vendors. So we'll talk about the strains the way that they want them to be talked about, and the way that they talk about it with Health Canada, which is in terpenes.
That's interesting. I find that somewhat disturbing, and I mean, but more disturbing to me is due to the illegal nature of cannabis over the last 70 years, is that the gene pool has become so diluted, and there's just zero sort of curation of the gene pool for the most part. I mean, entities like DNA Genetics have done a fantastic job of seeking out old world strains, preserving them in some pure form, blending them, hybridizing them with others where appropriate. But for the most part, you try Granddaddy Perps from California versus Granddaddy Perps from Amsterdam, you're getting two completely different products in large part. So is this something that is irretrievably gone in terms of breeding stock of cannabis, or is it something that we can move back towards now that it's legal and we can do all kinds of research and studies on the gene pool?
I think it is something that is not lost. I think that those kinds of genetics, as you say, those groups do a great job. DNA does a fantastic job at that. I think what we're going to see, though, is the new strains embraced for what they are. So instead of calling them, OG Kush or whatever it is that actually may not be the right moniker anymore, we'll have new names for these things. And our job, certainly as a retailer, is to curate this experience and explain some of these things to our customers. So, of course, as we get more research options available, I know UBC is actually doing some sort of genome testing for varietals. I think that kind of stuff is going to be important. And as the licensed producers become arguably what they should be, which is product companies, not sort of raw product producers anymore, but kind of product companies, that kind of research is going to be a key differentiator for them in terms of communicating to consumer. This is not just this genetic, this is a modified genetic, and that actually itself is a product.
Right, which some people will seek out.
Yes, well, exactly, because it's all about this and your body, like the genetics of the plant, and then your human genetics give you the experience.
Yeah. Right? So at $10 million for your first 90 days implies a run rate of $40 million per year. Is that what your expectation is?
Well, certainly we saw a little bit in the beginning, which was lineups around the block. That sort of stabilized very quickly in the first week. So we are actually saying that our run rate is going to be significantly higher than our earlier estimates. We use the MJBiz fact book data of about $1,200 per square foot, which is the aggregated US data, and applied it, no discount, just to Canada. Let's see if that works. And that gave us about $2.1 million per store per year. And that's how we modeled the business originally. It looks on that. If we can keep that pace up, we're on track for sort of $4 to $5 million per store per year, which is impressive.
So getting back to the preferences of your customers, what percentage are looking for premium dried flower versus what percentage is looking for everything else, primarily extracts?
I think that it's very, very dominantly flower at the moment. Okay. But I don't know if that's actually because that's what consumer preference is, or that is what is available. So we really don't have, I believe, a representative product mix that compares to the black market. So certainly our experiences in store are that our customers are coming, and I don't believe a lot of them are coming from the black market. I don't think that we're displacing the black market at this point, both in number of stores, but also products available and also delivery methods available. So, for example, in Saskatchewan, where we are allowed to do online ordering, we're allowed to do delivery, it'll become closer to a black market experience, and we'll start to displace those. But in terms of what a store is available, what products are available right now, it would be dominantly dried flower. And the extracts and the oils are really, if you think about it, it's an analog to the medical system. There's been no new product developed yet for the recreational market. It's an extracted, maximum of 30 milligrams of THC per milliliter product. We all know the Health Canada specs on that. So there's going to be some product development that's required, I think.
Interesting. All right, Trevor, well, we'll leave it there. Congratulations on getting public, and we'll come back to you in due course and see how you're making out. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, vapes. What do you know about vapes? What do they do, and which are the best? Let's ask Sean Cookson.
Vaporizers have really been making waves in the industry already. But considering concentrates are on the horizon, that could quite well turn into a tsunami. So what's with all the hubbub? Are there certain benefits to vaping, rather than just rolling up that traditional spliff?
I wanted to learn a little more about vapes, so I decided to talk to a professional in the space, CEO of T-Vape, Nima Nouri.
Basically, vaporization is a process of heating up a botanical matter up to a specific temperature so one can extract the essential oils without compromising the carbon in the structure of that botanical, namely oxidizing it, which happens in the course of burning or smoking, which are extremely harmful. Why they're so popular nowadays is because they basically allow you much more convenience when you're on the road. Even at home, if you wanted to, let's say, smoke something, you wanted to roll it up, it will take significantly longer time. Then there's the health aspect of it. The National Institute of Health of England, for example, they said that vaporization is definitely 95% safer than smoking.
Now that I had more information, I was ready to unbox and try a vaporizer that was sent to me by the fine folks at DaVinci, the DaVinci IQ. I thought it would be fitting to do so with Joanne Baker, aka Puff Mama, the owner of the Underground Cafe 420. Comedy lovers and cannabis lovers alike have been flocking to this vape lounge for over 13 years to enjoy a laugh and a puff.
Let's check it out. So it comes in a pretty sweet box. The whole system's pretty sweet, actually. You open her up, and you got a sticker. Yoo-hoo!
I like stickers.
And well, you can keep that sticker. A USB charger.
Oh, cool.
And alcohol wipes. Give you a couple here. And then you got a little packer as well.
Oh, you don't have to take apart a pen anymore.
No. You got a little carrying case. You keep your weed on a keychain.
Oh, I see.
Little carrying canister there. And then, finally, oh, little mouthpiece. There you go. So that's everything that you get with the DaVinci IQ. But I mean, this is pretty heavy stuff.
You could if you had it in your hand.
Yeah, you can use that as a weapon.
Out.
So there you go. I've charged it up already. So let's give it a try. All right, so I'm going to give you first dibs on this one.
Okay.
Just put it up to your mouth and inhale.
I don't have to push a button?
Nope.
Well, that's easy.
Yeah, very easy. There we go.
Oh, that's tasty.
You like that?
It's very smooth. I'm being gluttonous.
Yeah. You should get high. But it's a very smooth way to smoke your herb. The design's pretty nice too. I mean, it's pretty discreet all the way around. I mean, if you look at it, you wouldn't know if that was a vape or not.
On the market. This is good.
So we're going to give it a couple of seconds and see how the herb treats us, and then we're going to give a review of the DaVinci IQ. All right. So time lapse. What are your thoughts? What do you think?
I liked it.
Right.
Yeah, we have a vape lounge. Well, it's not a vape lounge, but it's a cannabis lounge where you're encouraged to go. They sell pop and chips and hot dogs and whatnot, and you sit there and you bring your product and you get high. But
near your place.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't used vapes too much. Oh, fantastic! That's interesting. Somebody left one for me as a present, apparently. A Zeus. Ooh, now that's skookum. I haven't used them much. You know why? Because they cool the smoke so much that you do a way bigger hit than you would if you could taste it more. And so you end up getting way higher than you planned, which for, you know, a lot of the rec users, particularly those south of, call it 40, that's fine. But for us older people, it begins to interfere with the functionality profile of the day a little bit too heavily.
Yeah, I mean, I like the tinctures.
Tinctures?
Yeah.
Like they just drops under your tongue.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people, like, you know, two sides of the fence, like Buckley's. Some people are like, wow, it's gross. I'm like, who cares? It's like 5 seconds and, you know.
That's true. You want gross, try eating some magic mushrooms.
Yeah. I have tried that.
Yeah. Well, good. We'll have to do that on the show soon, Fraser.
Well, I'm sure it'll be legal at some point.
Actually,
Why not? Yeah,
we do know of a couple companies researching psychedelics for legal use, and I think that day will come. I just hope it's while I'm still alive. Not that things being illegal ever slowed me down.
Yeah.
And I'm sure most people are the same. We're watching the performance of Chiron this hour, which the stock has increased by like, what, 24% today? Just intraday, 24%. And I'm seeing some of the comments from our audience that it got away from them. But this, just think now, this is the same thing that stopped me from becoming a huge winner of Canopy.
Yeah.
Is it was like $2.20 and I'm like, oh, it's already gone to $3.40. It's too late.
Yeah.
And like what a horribly
Beverage
self-defeating
company is a
mindset that is. And really what you got to ask yourself is, where is this company price going? And not that we are in a position to predict share price performance in any sort of time frame, but I mean, if this is the Canopy of Latin America, then where is ask yourself, where is the share price going? Obviously, there are a lot of things that can derail that before they get to that point.
Hence the risk.
Thus, the asymmetrical risk profile of a cannabis startup. So, again, full disclosure, Chiron was a client, and through that relationship, we ended up being the proud owner of some restricted share units. However, I am actually going to wade into this market, and I'm going to buy 10,000 shares, just because if it's just at that point before it arcs up to $30, $40, $50, I don't want to miss that ride.
Yeah, I was on a plane with you on the way to Leamington when the day before I sold my shares in Canopy. So I bought it at $7.50 and sold it at $13.20 odd cents or something like that. And I was like, that's a pretty good gain. But then, boom, the day after I sold it, it went to 18, 19, and then from there 25, and then 30. And it doesn't seem possible at the time, because you're waiting, and then you had a nice bump, and you're like, okay, I guess this is right.
Well, and then the other scenario is possible. Like, what if this is the last of the infusiveness that we've seen in the market since the beginning of the year? What if this is the last of it? And maybe there's a long-term drifting correction to the downside coming till the next big macro catalyst. That's possible too, and that, again, is the risk and the reason for the asymmetrical return if you make the right choice. But yeah, time will tell. Time will tell. Let's see what else is going on today. We have so much crazy stuff going on this month, you won't believe it. So we've taken possession of the first available in Canada portable testing device for testing heavy metals and cannabinoids in the from dried cannabis flower, provided to us by FluroTech. So I think it's on Fridays that we're going to start the FluroTech Midas Letter testing segment of the show, and we're going to test, call it 3 to 4 different Ontario Cannabis Store products. Here in-house, we're going to measure the CBD and THC content, compare it to what's on the label, and then we're going to smoke it. Yeah, so you're going to have the technical qualitative analysis, and you're going to have the social qualitative analysis. And not that we're the last word on cannabis, but we know good weed when we smell it, taste it. And
you had to do the test, they had to grind it up, and then that's when the bouquet started filling.
The aroma, the smell in the boardroom changed dramatically. Yeah, you know, I wonder if we need to get licensed from Health Canada to test cannabis on the premises.
I don't like the idea of having to ask permission from Health Canada for anything.
Well, that's the essence of law.
I guess
Who wants to be regulated? But we'll have to find out. Let's see, James, you meant billion. million company trading at 200 million. Us, he meant billion. James Watson, being corrected by another member, audience member. Shadow banned. Sure you are, James. Yes, I'm James. No, that James, you mean James. Troy Smith, 6 should be hilarious. 6 should be hilarious. I think he's making reference to SIC down to 13 cents. What's that still doing on the ticker? Let's get that off of there. What else? Let's see what's going on in our audience. We haven't said Glenn Treep. How are you doing, Glenn? Good to see you here. You're still one of our regular visitors. You know, I heard from one of our dear friends, Duma Winshu of Province Brands, that he ran into a couple of guys from Cambodia, and the one guy is a tuk-tuk driver, and he said that he watches the show every day from his tuk-tuk in Cambodia.
That's yeah. So today there was a guy who said hi from Finland, which I thought was pretty. But the tuk-tuk driver has to take the cake there, right?
The tuk-tuk driver is the best one I've heard so far, but
we've got Hawaii, tuk-tuk land.
Yeah, well, we've now got Mexico. Everybody at that resort I was staying at started watching the show.
Nice.
Yeah, it actually changed the whole dynamic of my stay there. Suddenly, I was a star in their eyes, which was hilarious. Anyways, Johnny is here. He says, "Thank Ed for me. AMX pumped." Now he's making reference to Amex Exploration. AMX on the TSX Venture. Ed brought this to our attention, and we started buying it. Well, my last buy was 50 cents, and I sold a block of it on Friday for 92 cents, and today it was trading above $1. What's that stock doing right now?
106?
106.
I didn't get in on that because, you know, I just didn't. So, but, yeah, it seems to be going like doing one of the old...
Yes. Yes. Interesting. Okay, it's 4:08. The market is closed. We didn't ding our heads. That's good because that's kind of silly. We've been doing that for too long. Okay. Up next, I'll be talking to the CEO of Tinley Beverage Company, Jeff Mazur.
The Tinley Beverage Company is a Canadian-based company with operations in the United States. The company makes liquor-inspired, alcohol-free, cannabis-infused beverages for use in California. It also manufactures the Hemplify product line, which is available in retail locations in California as well as online in the U.S. Tinley intends to leverage consumer and operational learnings in California to launch operations in Canada and Nevada, followed by other territories. The Tinley Beverage Company trades on the CSE under the ticker symbol TNY.
I'm joined now by Jeff Mazur, CEO of the Tinley Beverage Company, trading on the CSE under the symbol TNY. Jeff, welcome back.
Thank you.
This is not our first rodeo, is it?
That's true. It's not.
We started this, what, 3 years ago?
It's been a few years, yeah.
And Tinley has been in business for, it's probably one of the oldest cannabis beverage companies in the entire world.
It might be, just might be, yes.
Okay,
it's good to see you again.
Tell me what's happened in the last 3 years. How has the company grown? What products have you got? You've got some THC beverages here, which I'm assuming are not containing THC because we're in Ontario.
These particular ones don't, unfortunately. Yeah.
Right.
But in California, they do. We have here what we call the Flying Mule. That's a ginger beer with a little bit of kick to it. Normally, the alcohol version would have vodka in it. So you can't mix alcohol and cannabis in California or really anywhere for that matter. So this is just cannabis with a little bit of kick to replicate the vodka sort of taste. This one here is a sort of margarita-inspired beverage. It's actually made by a California-based tequila formulator, so it is very similar to one of the national brand tequilas that's out there with the same extracts and flavors and ethers and spices that you'd find in one of the national brand tequilas, but with no alcohol. So mixed in with some lime. This particular one's carbonated, and it has a nice light dose of cannabis oil.
So in California, you can buy beverages that have THC in them now and consume them legally?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, there are several good beverages available. They're all private companies, with few exceptions, so you know we are obviously a public company that's entered the space.
So, what kind of sales are you doing in the state of California presently?
We hit shelves sort of over the summer.
Okay.
We actually are relaunching this because of some new regulations that came out that we have to comply with. So we are back ordered with about $200,000 worth of back orders right now that we are furiously working to fulfill.
Right.
If those are done in Q1, then hopefully we'll be able to recognize those, no guarantees, but we are working pretty feverishly. And those are that's actually just on these two products. There's a few others that you can see on our website that, that are in the pipeline.
Now, how much THC is in here? Like, is this equivalent to, well, it says 10 milligrams. So I know that if I consume 10 milligrams of, I'm assuming it's decarboxylated THC, so it's in the THC Delta 9 format. That's going to make me so silly that I just want to leave and not talk to anybody. Is there a lighter version of this?
So 10 milligrams is the standard for a single serving in the California market. It is a bit of a higher dose market than other states.
Right, Californians.
Right. So, you know, your typical dispensary consumer would actually find 10 milligrams to be a somewhat light dose. However, all the new adult use consumers that have been entering the market since January 1st do in fact also find that to be a pretty hard dose. So the whole concept is for it to be sort of like a single serve, just, you know, a nice light buzz like you'd get from a single serving of alcohol. So we've sort of made the decision as part of this relaunch to focus on those new consumers, which we think will someday be the predominant market. It isn't today, but we think in the future will be. So we actually are dropping this to 5 milligrams per dose.
Okay, so how many locations and what kind of locations do you sell this through right now?
It's entirely through dispensaries because of the cannabis content. There's 50 stores anxiously awaiting their orders to be filled. There's about 400 in the state, and that's just sort of based on our first quarter of being in market.
Interesting. And obviously, depending on what kind of regulations emerge in Canada, this will be available in Canada as well.
We hope so, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay, now beverages as a category in the state of California, what percentage of the total market do you think that THC beverages represent currently?
Right now it's about 1/2% of the industry. It's a tiny, tiny category. Obviously there's a lot of talk about it in the media as being something that could potentially become one of the predominant categories. I know that Molson Coors CEO, when they did the deal in Canada, said that cannabis beverages could grow to 20 to 30% of the overall cannabis market. So there's a lot of different sort of projections on how big the cannabis market could get, but most of them are obviously in the tens of billions, so 20 to 30% of that is a meaningful category. And I just think that a lot of that is because of the complexity involved in making beverages and the need for a lot of capital and volume as well, which is what drives margins ultimately. Our team comes with a lot of deep beverage background. Our president is from Young's Market Company, which is a $3 billion beverage alcohol distributor, one of the two predominant ones in the Western U.S. I have a past CEO of COT and a past president of COT on the team, a past key guy from Dan Aykroyd Wines and Crystal Head Vodka and Patron Tequila as well. So there's a lot of really deep experience that's really necessary once you scale this up to a large degree. That's one of the key ones right there is Cannabis Quencher on the second shelf there. It's a private company, and so we're hoping to achieve that scale.
Yeah. Is this does the state of California envision offering this for sale in bars?
So there's about 14 licenses that have just been approved for West Hollywood for on-premise consumption. That's really exciting news. Obviously this would be a great fit for those kinds of venues. Right now on-premise is tolerated in some cities in California. Thankfully San Francisco is one of them, so that's a pretty big market, but it's just within dispensaries. So you literally have to go to the counter, buy a product, and then there's sort of a lounge area off to the side. So it's kind of fun, but it's not the kind of place where you could actually have cocktails mixed and a server bringing it to the table and all that.
Yeah, so I've been to one of those dispensaries in Carmel, California, actually. So the whole idea of consuming cannabis in a beverage format is, I mean, to legacy cannabis consumers like myself, it sounds like weird a bit because, I mean, personally I enjoy smoking premium dried flower, but for the new generation of people who probably don't want to start smoking anything ever because we've learned that it's bad for us, this looks like it might be an interesting alternative. Now, so is it conceivable that in the future these will be available in even lower doses, because I'm thinking if you go out to a bar and in the time frame of 2.5 hours you're going to consume, call it, one every 30 minutes, you're obviously not going to want to consume 50 milligrams of THC or even 25 milligrams of THC in 2.5 hours, because that will basically keep you high for anywhere up to 10 or 12 hours in some cases. So do you think that you will gravitate towards lower dosage products as the market evolves?
Well, we're starting to see 2.5 milligram products hitting the market in California, just for that exact same reason. The new relaunch actually has some really interesting science in it that in fact reduces bioavailability, which I know sounds counterintuitive, but the reality is people well, you know, the truth is people don't want to be under the have the effect last, you know, for 8 hours, which is the typical length of an edibles effect. So we've actually found a way to sort of cut off the tail end of that, so it lasts shorter, but the cannabis that otherwise would have been absorbed during that period effectively goes to waste. So of the 5 milligrams, you're actually only getting a portion of that, so it actually feels a little bit lighter, but it's front loaded, so you feel it very quickly. And it lasts for, you know, a few hours basically, but then you kind of don't have the effect beyond that, which is kind of nice, because theoretically you could, if you're feeling all right, you know, drive home even. But so the 5 milligrams I actually think feels a little bit less than that. So it gives you the nice light buzz that I think people are seeking.
So we know that Canada is going to approve some form of consumable cannabis of extracts and premium flower. California's already there. What's the status in the other 30 some odd states that have cannabis? What's the status in Europe, and what's the status all over the world?
It's a mixed bag, really. Pretty much all the states that have legalized adult use allow pretty much all forms. So they allow beverages if there's adult use that's allowed. And a lot of the ones that allow, you know, for medical use only, also allow beverages. So it's a little bit different. They haven't sort of restricted on format. In fact, New York's the opposite. They've allowed everything except smokable forms.
Oh, really?
Which is kind of smart in a few ways. So, so it's actually pretty open in the U.S. in terms of what's allowed out there. Europe is still very much a medical market, so it's still pretty restrictive out there. You know, the truth is, you know, climate is really important for beverages. It's very different from other cannabis categories. So one of the reasons we started in California was because that's a proven beverage market. It's actually the largest beverage market in North America. So it's where you see just a lot of conventional beverage startups start, basically. And that's because of the warm weather, you know, the big tourism, kind of an affluent, innovative culture. There's a lot of wineries, so it's got sort of a beverage alcohol culture. And so it actually really is important to have all those factors in place. And I do know some folks that are involved in dispensaries everywhere from San Diego all the way up to Vancouver, and they actually do say that there is more seasonality in cannabis beverages in the northern climates. So we're actually seeing sort of the same in cannabis that you're seeing in mainstream beverage. New York's the second largest beverage market, so they don't necessarily have the warm climate there, but they do have the large population within a small geographic area, as well as sort of the affluence and the innovative sort of culture out there. So I would say those are the two priority markets. Obviously, Canada's where we trade, and a lot of us are based, and so it's important for us to be here as well.
You bet.
You know, obviously there's some climates like that sort of fit that bill in Europe, but I think really the focus is going to be the southern U.S. And New York and Canada for us.
All right, that's great catch up, Jeff. Let's leave it there for now. We'll come back to you in due course and see where you're at. Thanks very much for joining us.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing to our YouTube channel and clicking on the little notifications bell. If you're interested in getting monthly actionable investment ideas in the cannabis space to your inbox, subscribe to the newsletter at MidasLetter.com.
Have you tried Tinley Beverages?
I have not.
They are tasty. They are tasty.
That is it.
But 10 milligrams in a single bottle. So that means you have 3 of those, you're 30 milligrams in. I've got one thing to say about that. Whoa! But as he says, they're slowly but surely taking the dosage down, so yeah, we should be able to handle it at our next cannabis house party. When will that be? Wouldn't you love to know? But yeah, we're going to start some serious cannabis testing this week. Let's see. We are coming up to the end of February. we are having the first ever Midas Letter Invitational Cannabis Cup golf tournament at a golf course where smoking cannabis is welcomed.
Huh. Oh, that was what that email was about.
Yes,
that I
it's
sort
called
of ignored.
Rolling Acres, and it's in Smith Falls.
Yeah.
And we met the owner today, and yeah, that's going to be coming up in the springtime, so you might want to subscribe because we will be taking a few lucky subscribers on that trip with us. When the weather improves, where there will be no golfing in the snow, sorry to say.
Work on that backswing.
Right, you got to pull out the snow shovel club for that.
Yeah. You got it.
So Fraser, best cannabis investment idea of the day.
Well, that certainly put me in the spot.
I know, with no warning, no planning.
Well, it depends, because you got stuff that already rocketed up, but might continue to do so, like a Chiron. But FluroTech is one of those ones that, you know, they were here, and I saw the gear, and I can see the many use cases, and I feel like there's, you know, some definite room to grow.
Yep.
So
I am going to bring to the attention of the audience to a company that was called BLVD Treatment Centers and is now called Ventura Cannabis. And this company, full disclosure, I bought a bunch of shares out of the market at an average price around 6 cents. So obviously I'm talking my book here, and therefore I should not be trusted.
BLVD.
I have a feeling that this company is going to do some incredible things in terms of share price performance. That's my expectation based on my own opinion only. And obviously, as I said, I should not be trusted because I already own a boatload. But I feel like it's the kind of company that I need to bring to the attention of our loyal audience, because all you need to do to understand what this company is all about is look into the background of the CEO, Jacob Gamble. He's been the CEO since mid-December. He's already announced a share consolidation. He's already jettisoned the non-performing assets of the company and has really put the company on course to become something completely different. So you need to do a little bit of reading between the lines on that one.
BLVD?
BLVD was the old symbol. The new symbol is VCAN.
VCAN.
Yes.
Ventura Cannabis, there it is.
Ventura Cannabis.
On the Canadian Stock Exchange.
Yeah, and the thing that about Jacob Gamble that makes me very interested in the company is the fact that this guy comes from Fisher Investments, which is over $1 billion enterprise. At the best of times, he's got a deep background in healthcare stocks and obviously knows how to turn a company around because he's done so much with this thing in the three months that he's been CEO that I can't wait to see what else he has. The symbol, Mary Kemp, is VCAN. And again, I own the stock, so I should be considered biased. And yeah, Shivet Ketostatic Bafanifi agrees with me. And that chick is smart.
Wow.
Just look at that name. How come Shivet Ketostatic Bafanifi? Do you live in Toronto? Tell me that. Anyways, why shadow? Why you say that crazy talk? Boy, oh boy. Just be careful your American cannabis companies don't get delisted from the Canadian exchanges. Shadow banned. Just be careful your American cannabis companies don't get delisted from the Canadian exchanges. Not sure what that reference is about, but...
as if maybe there's a risk of being delisted because you're not federally compliant in the States. I don't think they care.
That's an odd comment. You're going to have to elaborate, Shadow Band. Thank you for asking. I feel really backed out of their deal with Liberty Health Science because they didn't want to take a chance until American legalizes it. American companies can't list on the TSX. Oh, I see. Okay, well, so Liberty is you know, we haven't. I think there's zero risk of these companies being delisted. Canopy Growth, listed on the NYSE, listed on the TSX, has now begun to sell CBD products in the United States. Bruce Linton has always said they will sell cannabis products in jurisdictions where they are legal.
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is that legalization is coming. I don't think there's a regulatory agency around, except in maybe Utah and the certain Bible Belt states, that think that there's any slowing down of the cannabis legalization movement. And so I don't think that's a real
There's
risk.
a new headline almost every day about this state is going to, decriminalize or make it medically available, et cetera, et cetera. It's like a snowball effect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's going nowhere. I mean, it's not going to be slowed. It's going everywhere. Shevet Ketostatic Bafinifi tells me that she's in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And I can tell you, Shevet Ketostatic Baffinini, that you all down in Arkansas are some of my favorite people, because I spent almost 8 months living and working in construction in Hot Springs, Arkansas when I was a teenager. And there's a long, funny story there that I'm not going to share with this audience because it's too long and it's way too funny.
Arkansas.
But anyways, let's just say that since then, Arkansas has always had a warm place in my heart. So I can't wait to actually go back. I spent a very wonderful, long, hot summer partying at Lake Ouachita. There you go. And, yeah, so we got there in May, and I left in what? I left in November, I guess it was. So, yeah, it was a good long haul. Look at this. What the? What's going on? We have a new bunch of Midas Letter cannabis products coming along. And we're going to show you some of the logos because I want some audience feedback. Our lovely and talented Ecstatic Designs in Vancouver, British Columbia, has started to put out some of the logos that we're contemplating. Crystalline, Crystal Methadrine, Crystal. Anyways, you get my point. She's making some logos. We're going to put them up, get some votes from people. Let's see. All right, now, what wall, James? Yeah, exactly. Did you hear that Canada's going to build a wall?
No.
Yeah, we're going to build the wall just, however, along the East Coast. We're trying to keep out icebergs. Never mind. That's a feeble attempt at humor, which clearly fell flat on Fraser's ears. Mind you, whatever. Okay, so your big investment idea?
I guess I'd have to say FluroTech, although just a quick little footnote, I happen to own some C21 investments.
Oh, C21.
And it had a 26%.
It's going up.
It's going up.
Higher? It's going higher? C21. Let's see, other companies we're going to start some coverage of here. Shetek Baffinini says, let us know when you're in town. I'll find a sitter and we'll go out on the town. Woo! Yes, we will. Now, that's going to get me a trip down to Hot Springs, Arkansas sooner than you think. That's where I learned how to say big ol', because I worked with a bunch of guys. I was 19 at the time, and they were 19, and they all talked so differently. Like, hey, we're going to get a big old flat of beer. We're going to go. We used to go up into the clear cut that Weyerhaeuser had outside of Hot Springs and shoot squirrels, and we'd shoot squirrels and barbecue them and drink beer till the cows came home. And that's a good time in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And for me, I still dream of shooting squirrels and drinking beer out of the back of a pickup truck.
But not eating them, because that's yucky.
Guess what, folks? We have some things coming up tomorrow. Raj Grover is going to be here from High Tide. Raj is being very helpful to us in that he's sourcing a lot of our merchandise. Matt Bottomley, intrepid cannabis analyst extraordinaire from Canaccord Genuity, will be here. Trevor McMillan from FluroTech is going to join us. And this is all part of our rolling out of the FluroTech Midas Letter testing program that is going to be a feature of our shows. And that, everybody, is our show for today. Thank you very much for watching. We hope to see you all tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the little alarm bell if you want to be hassled every time we come online. But we'll see you all later.